The Boston Bruins are forced into an impossible decision as multiple brand new reports have come out detailing the plan for this team heading forward and what the plan is for some of these younger players trying to crack this roster. We're going to be breaking it down, going over what Marco Sturm had to say on this topic, as well as multiple other updates, including where the current status of Michael DiPietro is and what the chance of him passing through waivers is. We're going to be breaking it all down here in this video. Before we do jump into it, though, ladies and gentlemen, I have you one question to ask, and that's if you haven't already, be sure to hit the sub button and join me here on the channel. We have a lot of stuff coming for the remaining of training camp and preseason, and you won't want to miss it. We have many moves coming, as well as one today that just occurred moments ago, and we also want you guys to get all of your news for the Boston Bruins right here. I'm going to have it every day, so be sure to hit that sub button. But let's get straight into it, because obviously going into this season, we know this team is structured a bit differently. We have a lot of older players now, but also plenty more younger players, and Marco Sturm is known for that. He's known to bring these younger guys in and be able to develop those well. But he knows he's not going to rush players that are not ready. And today he came out and said some very interesting things regarding some of the top Bruins prospects looking to make this NHL roster. And he first started off here today with this. Those young guys got to do special things to make this team. He discussed Fabian Lysell, Fraser, Minten, and other Bruins. Now, he says also Fraser Minten has been really good. But the part I want to talk about first here is the beginning. These guys had to do special things to make the team. Now, this is something that we haven't really seen yet for the Bruins on this side of the younger players. We've always seen if they have the skill, they will make it. But Marco Sturm is not pressured to make the move on these guys as soon as possible. He wants to make sure these guys are 100% ready. And the way that we're looking at the offense now, especially with the moves that they have made in this offseason, they have gotten quite a few players to play in this bottom six where they don't need to have these younger guys be forced into a lineup before their prep. Now, we've been in the situation where Georgi Merkulov, Fabian Lysell, realistically those two players being the big names over the past few seasons, are trying to crack a roster spot, but especially beginning in last year's trade deadline when the Bruins really started to tank and kind of go for one of these early picks where ultimately they got James Higgins. They were able to garner quite a few, not just picks, but young players. And one of those names as well is Fraser Minten, like Marco Sturm said. These guys are all kind of given this opportunity now where they are trying to get into Group A and go from there. Because really, we have the defense locked down. Mason Lohrei, Charlie McAvoy, Elias Lindholm, Andrew Peeke, Zadorov, Jokiharju, and currently Jordan Harris as the 7th defenseman, which of course that is probably the one piece that will change on that defensive side of things here in training camp and preseason. Goaltending, Swayman, Korpisalo, still the same thing, but Mittelstadt and Arvidsson are not in this offensive lineup right here from Group A today due to some injuries. Of course, very minor illness for Arvidsson, a minor lower body injury from what we've seen from Casey Mittelstadt. So nothing major, but when we do take a look at the Group A right now, you have Alex Steeves, John Beecher, I would assume taking the place of those two injured players in Arvidsson and Mittelstadt, but the remainder of it, you have Matt Poitras and Fraser Minten, two of the younger guys here in this lineup, as well as Matej Blumel, but I don't really consider him as one of these younger players since he's played a lot in the AHL, but he is much older than some of these other players. But Fraser Minten, as we saw Marco Sturm just say, someone who has been doing some special things. He's been excellent this preseason and has been one of the players that has really earned himself a spot, as well as Matt Poitras. Matt Poitras is playing better. We know that the past few seasons we've seen him have to go some stints in the AHL due to just a few mishaps in games, not playing his best, and was the best for him. But it is now time for him to get up. We are kind of, I don't want to say running out of opportunities for him because he is still only, 21, 22 years old. But at this point now, you want to get him in the lineup. You want to make sure that he stays there rather than bouncing up and down throughout the AHL and the NHL. So even with some moving parts here, just like this offense right now, I'm still thinking Matt Poitras and Fraser Minten are leading the pack here. And, with what we've seen Marco Sturm say and how his game has shown development for these younger players, things are looking very good on the front for those two. Fabian Lysell still being discussed. I think more so of that they have to do something special is being applied a little bit more towards him because I think there's still a lot of pressure for him to get to the NHL. But as I said, they're not going to rush him. They're not going to rush Fabian Lysell, who did gain some speed, some weight here in this offseason, and is now more suited, at least, in a structure, to be at the NHL level. So I will still say there's opportunities for him to crack on this roster, but I don't want to think the Bruins are rushing anything, especially now knowing this season is not one where they need to go out and win. It's a season where they're still in a learning phase, and with Marco Sturm's first year, he wants to make sure this team is good, but they're not going to rush them whatsoever. So let me know what you think about what Marco Sturm had to say and really how this applies to Fraser Minten due to what he had to say that he's been really good and what you think doing something special might be, because that's where he left off. He really didn't kind of dive too deep into that, and I think we can all take it with a grain of salt with what he's saying, but also we can kind of put our own minds into what something special might be for these specific players. But with multiple other moves coming, we know that there's still lots of time to maybe even crack a roster, as there is for a lot of players to be sent down. And going into today, there was a move made. Billy Sweezy was placed on waivers for the Bruins. Pretty solid camp, played strong physical game versus the Flyers on Monday. Expect more Bruins to be headed to Providence to pass through waivers in the coming days. Now, this is what Joe Haggerty put out, but this was the only move made today by the Bruins. Plenty of players still on waivers, and I'll even be kind of curious to see if the Bruins do indulge in any of these players that may go through. I feel like right now, it's not very likely, but if some interesting name pops down that they may have had their eye on at some point in their career or, in the draft or whatever it may be, it could be an option, over the next coming days. But right now, just Billy Sweezy there. Probably no signs of them going to be claiming anybody, but we know that there are going to be more players heading down through waivers and also just being sent down to the AHL who may not need to be placed on waivers. But I know, kind of just going back to that very quickly before we do move on, take a look at Group A. Like I said, this is really the kind of group of players we have left, with a few players from Group B, but on this one, we're kind of, locked down for the most part, I would say, with what we're going, with a few exceptions of, let's just say, John Beecher, whether or not he can actually bounce back from, a bit of a lackluster season, but even though he did play good in his first preseason game, I think there's still some options there. But with another one update, Friedman has put out some very interesting things about, a lot of teams lately, and this is one that is a very good sign going forward. And he said this on 32 Thoughts, the podcast. Someone sent me a note. They said they really like the way Elias Lindholm looks early in the preseason. I think the Bruins are going to be a big bounce-back team this year. Now, this is what I've been saying, and I mean, putting this out there, seeing someone say it as well, that's, an Elliot Friedman level guy. Exactly what I wanted to hear, because as I've been mentioning, I'm sure as you guys know, I do completely expect this team to be a borderline playoff team. Now, I don't think they're going to be deep in the playoffs, but I think this team could certainly get to the playoffs and will get to that point where they're teetering on the edge. And if everybody stays healthy, we have a very similar lineup to last year and the year before, but we're getting a lot younger. We're getting a lot more skilled, a lot quicker, a lot more snappy on these types of plays. And I think really it is all working out in the favor. So the fact that Friedman put this out here makes me very happy, because it don't make me sound like I'm crazy, but I still do think that not just Elias Lindholm being back, but McAvoy being healthy, having the offense actually clicking. If we get Lindholm back into the guy we actually tried to go and sign, this team will be a sneaky good team and playoff team. I will continue to say it. You can make fun of me in the comments, but I still have a firm belief that this team can get to that spot. Now, I do have a few more updates here, and this one I wanted to pop up. Darren Drager put this out in Vancouver's case. Legitimately, they're looking for a number 2 center. Where that guy's coming from, I can't tell you. That comes from this Caras and Price podcast as well. Just another update regarding what it could be on the Casey Middlestad, whether it be a Pavel Zacha. This is the latest we have, and this did come out, about 20 minutes ago now at this point before filming this video, but it did come out 2 days ago from that podcast. So, as we've been talking about for these guys, it's more seeming like it's going to be something that's happening later towards the American Thanksgiving, towards the Christmas break, the holiday break, that a lot of these kind of moves would be made, depending on where the Bruins currently stand in the lineup. And that's really the big question in my mind, is where things are going to be going, where things are going to be kind of staying at this point. And we're going to go from there, because right now I still think this team is in a good starting position, but you never know what happens around that time when you're already 2 months into the season. But one more update before we do finish this one off here is another coming out from Elliot Friedman, detailing where we've been talking about, where we've been really looking at for quite some time now, and Michael DiPietro. He had this to say: I have no doubt teams will be looking hard at him. There will be teams this week curious to see what the Bruins do. And as you probably saw earlier in this video, when we did go back to the defense here on this side of things, there is still Swayman and Korpisalo in Group A. We see right now still Michael DiPietro in Group B, but there's still no signs yet of what's going to happen. We saw Edmonton being a team that was reportedly going to claim whether it be Michael DiPietro or someone along the lines of that. They made a trade for Connor Ingram today, so that may take them out of the equation unless they're trying to go full retool on their goalie side of things, or their goaltending, there will be other teams interested. So having Michael DiPietro go through waivers is probably not something the Bruins want to attempt to do, but things are going to be getting a lot more information. We're going to be getting a lot more information surrounding that here in the coming days, and we have it all here on the channel. So if you guys did enjoy this video, you like all your updates that you're getting, just like this, every day, we're going to be posting them here on the channel. But that's all I got here on this one. If you did enjoy, give it a like, hit the sub button as well. I'm signing out, though. Thank you for watching. Hope you have a great day. See you later.